also a place where some business is discussed despite what they say. The business that's discussed is discussed in a little place called the underground. And that underground is spelled with a capital U and a capital N. Underground. It was there I heard George Bush talking about mass genocide. What the plans were for mind control. And it was at Bohemian Grove that my daughter and I were subjected to brutal perversions, all of which were being covertly filmed. These covert films were then used for blackmail purposes because these criminals didn't trust each other. And they all had some bad information on the other one that they kept so that they could keep each other under control. I was also taken to various CIA near-death paramilitary compounds. One was in the Lake Shasta area, but the one I was taken to most often was in Lampe, Missouri. Lampe, Missouri is this little bitty place right near the Arkansas border. Not too far from Mena Airport. And it's a place where there's a whole lot of black helicopters and where guys are programmed to carry out military operations. And it's also a place where the Swiss Villa Amphitheater is located, where different country music acts who are involved in the white slavery and cocaine operations are brought through on a regular basis. In Nashville, the country music industry had been taken over by the CIA and was being used to transport the drugs throughout the country. Later, during the mid-'80s, a guy named Boxcar Willie came on the scene. Boxcar Willie sexually abused my daughter, and she's named him as one of her sexual abusers. But he also had been an overnight sensation through an ad that he did on television. An ad on television that used certain harmonics to make people think that he was something wonderful, and he became a success overnight because it was Boxcar Willie's job for the CIA to lure the country music industry closer to this major CIA cocaine hub near Lampe, Missouri. And the country music industry was subsequently moved to Branson, Missouri, particularly the cocaine operations and the white slavery aspects of it. It was also in Lampe, Missouri that I saw Bill Clinton and George Bush together. In 1984, they were there to carry out certain perversions, as well as indulge in what they refer to as the most dangerous game. It's their favorite sport of hunting humans. It's taken from a military operation where a person fights for their life and runs for their life in an attempt to escape being hunted. My daughter and I both endured being hunted by George Bush, and he's often said that it was his favorite sport. But hunting humans was the part that he left out. Nevertheless, he and Bill Clinton were there that one particular weekend after elections, and they were talking about the fact that George Bush was going to be the vice president again for another 4 years. And George Bush didn't particularly like this idea. He didn't like being in the public eye at all, but nevertheless, he was going to do whatever it took to usher in the New World Order. Looking back at George Bush's past, you'll find out that he was first with the United Nations. Then he became a head of our CIA. And then it was my experience to know that George Bush was heavily involved in the Order of the Rose, as was every other perpetrator that I've mentioned, including Bill Clinton and Ronald Reagan. And it's important to note the orders from the Rose were orders from George Bush. George Bush, although he may not be at the very top of this world dominance effort, is a very significant player. And it was also my experience that Ronald Reagan followed orders from the Rose, and that Bill Clinton followed orders from the Rose. On this particular day, while they were talking, Bush said what I'd heard Senator Byrd say on different occasions, that when the American public became disillusioned with Republicans,